minutes to, 24 minutes to 3 o'clock on BBC Radio Merseyside. And it's my pleasure to welcome my guest, who's come all the way from New York to be with us today. It's John Brennan. Hello, John, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I'm glad you said it was 24 minutes because that's my lucky number, and that's a sign that this is going to go well.
It will go well. Okay, John, you're over here to make a documentary all about Liverpool.
Yes, sir.
You've had rather an interesting life, and it seems that you were fated to be connected in some way with Liverpool. So tell us how you first fell in love with Liverpool, one of Liverpool's two greatest assets, football.
Okay, well, I was a young child in 1962, and I lived in the New York City housing project, and there was a basketball court right in the middle of it, and I had a love for basketball, as Terry did have a love for football, and I would go downstairs at 7 o'clock in the morning to bounce the basketball, and the neighbors did not appreciate that on Saturday and Sunday after a night out. So a couple of them approached my father, Ray, and said, "You got to stop that kid from bouncing the ball." So he made an agreement with them to, 9 o'clock would be the limit. And then, I went upstairs. I had to stay upstairs, so I started watching TV. I wasn't a cartoon fan. I wasn't a movie fan. And I came across this fascinating sport, football. And there were names like Liverpool, Everton, Aston Villa.
Excuse me, soccer.
Football? Okay, soccer.
Soccer. We knew what you meant.
Okay. So, I just would lay there and watch that every Saturday, every Sunday until 9 o'clock. I got to admit, if there was a tie or an overage, I would go down and play basketball and leave the sport till the next week. But that's how I fell in love with the sport and, the fascination of, England, Liverpool, and, the whole across the pond situation.
So you'd have been 12 when the Beatles hit the States?
Yes.
And were you a fan straight away?
I'm sorry, I didn't...
Were you a fan straight away?
Oh, of course. Everybody was. It was fascinating. Ed Sullivan, the Arrival, BOAC coming in, and all the girls going crazy. It was very fascinating, and and they had great music.
When did you start investigating Liverpool in any way at all, John?
No,
Did you start looking to see what has this place Liverpool got that's so good? They've got the football teams, they've got the music. What is it about the city?
That and the history. After meeting up with Terry on a couple of his tours, Fab Four taxi tours, my wife and I and my sons did a tour just recently, and he took us everywhere within the city. A 2-hour tour turned into a 6-hour tour, and then having dinner with him. Terry is so passionate about the city. He gave that passion to me, which I had a little bit of, but now I'm fully in. And we came here to do a project promoting a documentary that's going to be the best documentary. And it's going to inform folks, not only in Liverpool, Manchester, and the United States, all about this great city.
Okay, now you've had many jobs yourself. You were a taxi cab driver.
Yes, sir.
In New York City.
Well, when I was young, I didn't want to go to college, so I had the opportunity. My father was a great man. He sent all his kids to college, but that wasn't my thing. I was not very studious. I couldn't read that well, so I decided to, drive a cab for a little bit during the summer. And then one day he came to me and he says, I don't think the cab's for you. You're going to work at the Dime Savings Bank. So for 3 years, I worked at Dime Savings Bank.
And then you became a policeman.
Yes, sir. My father also was a big influence in my life, as you can see. At 16 years old, he said to me, "You take this test. I want you to take this test." And then when I turned 21, 5 years later, I got called to the police department, and I had a pretty, interesting career.
I mean, I've been to America quite a lot, but I've only ever been to New York twice for a day, when I stayed in somewhere where Long Island. I'd stayed in Islip.
Okay,
in Long Island. That was the first time I ever went, but I only went into New York for the day. And once when I went over to another place, and I just went for the day as well. So I never had the experience of New York that I would have liked to have had.
Well, I'd like to invite you to come and stay with me, and we will take you on what my wife and I created was a 5-borough tour. We took a friend of my son Daniel. He lived in L.A. in a while, and we took him and his girlfriend on a 5-borough tour. The first place was Coney Island. It was magical. We went out there, and all of a sudden, the people go into the water. I can't think of their names right now. Run into the water, take a dip, come out, and she says, "Wow, this goes on every day." No, so there was a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Then we went to Staten Island to, show people the Statue of Liberty. We put them on the ferry. They drove by the Liberty and took pictures. Went down to Chinatown, Little Italy. That's where I had retired from. I showed them my precinct, and then off to the Bronx Yankee Stadium, and then down Manhattan, Times Square, right down to the middle of Times Square.
Okay, so I've been
do that
now.
for you.
I've been now. And it's funny, you were a limousine driver for London Cabs in New York. I actually helped launch London Cabs in Costa Mesa in the USA. They launched a branch over there, and I went along to actually launch that branch of London Cabs.
Were they affiliated with the folks in New York?
I would imagine so, because you kind of it was a London cab company they were launching.
Okay. Well, we had to hold like a yellow sign when someone was coming to the airport with their name. We had to wear a cap,
That's
which
it,
I
yeah.
wasn't too happy about. And then they would always have the London Times in the back seat for the customer.
Okay, well, we've had your career. Now we'll find out exactly why you're over here to make a documentary, and how it happened for Terry to get involved. Terry from Fab Four Cabs. Hiya, Terry. Fab Four Taxi Tours, you should say. Go on.
Yeah, well, John came over, did our tour, and we obviously gave him the history of the city and the culture, and he fell in love with all that, and now he wants to tell the world about how great our city is. These documentaries have been done before, as you well know.
Many times.
Yeah, many times. But he wants to put a different aspect on it. He wants to get the history, the culture, the sport, and of course the music. Over the next couple of days, we'll be interviewing Pete Best and Rogue. We'll be interviewing the Lord Mayor. We'll be interviewing Billy Kinsley. Yeah, and...
But it won't be just music, you were saying. You're going to go right back in our history.
It's an all-encompassing film, and what we're going to do is we're going to use local talent. We're affiliated with Bright Moon Media, and they're going to do the filming that Terry mentioned, and we're going to hopefully continue the relationship with them throughout the whole project. And we hope to stir up tourism, film industry in Liverpool. And if this film goes well, we have others planned down the road.
Is this your first documentary, John?
Yes, sir.
Very ambitious for the first one.
Well, actually, it's my first project.
Yeah.
We formed, my family and I formed a company called Fantasy Projects, and the website is fantasyprojects.usa. And what we want to do is, it's not just films. We have other ideas to help people to, maybe gain investors or people who want to buy into it, and help them to be successful. And I'm confident that I can get this done. I have the backing of several people, but I'm not going to use their input. I have the funds to do this on my own if necessary.
And you, of course, you were saying, Terry, there have been many, many documentaries made about Liverpool, probably more than John knows. So, I mean, if you're going to make a difference, it's going to take a lot of thought searching as well, because people like Pete's been interviewed before for the same kind of thing. So is Billy Kinsley.
Yeah.
You got to try and come in from another angle as
That's
well
right,
as the music, because you got the football, obviously, and of course you've got the fact that this city's been used by so many other film companies because they believe in the city's buildings.
Well, that's where you might come involved as well. But the history of Liverpool, as we know, is absolutely fantastic, and the culture. My wife Debbie, she's a Blue Badge guide, so that'll cover some of the history side of it. But
you're talking about a 6-hour documentary.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
yeah, condensed into 2.
Ken Burns, does it. I'm not saying we're going to be Ken Burns, but we're going to put the effort in, and we're also going to put the local talent, and at least the local talent will be, making money, and we're promoting film and, tourism.
Now, this is your first go, John. You're going to need an experienced camera crew, an experienced director.
Well, we have the experienced camera crew, Bright Moon Media. They've done a couple of documentaries already, and I don't think they would jump on board if we're going to be redundant. So we're going to, guide it that way. We're going to ask for local documentarians and historians to come to us with proposals and cost, and we will pay them to do it. you know, if they have the right vision, that would actually be Terry's vision, because he's the catalyst for this. Without him, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be excited.
And Mrs. Terry.
And Debbie, yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And Mrs. Sheila, too.
Yeah.
Hi, Sheila.
And also, John's going to be asking for people, if we read the website out again, for people who were at the Casbah all those years ago.
Okay, well, give us the website.
Go ahead, John.
www.fantasy, Fantasy
Oh, we can
projects.
spell that.
What? No?
we can spell that.
Oh, well,
Fantasy
that's
Project.
for the folks who can't spell. Fantasyprojects.usa.
USA. Okay.
And we plan on putting another website. We're going to be ambitious and put one up in the UK. We're just looking at the current websites that would mirror that. And what we'd like to do is ask folks, only the Scousers and the plastic Scousers, to participate. The USA folks don't know, but to participate and help us name this film.
Okay.
We want the folks to give us their feeling, and we're going to look at it, and maybe there'll be a contest around it. That's still to be determined.
So we're looking for people who went to the Casbah, Terry.
Yeah, that's the one.
Anybody who went to Casbah in those days?
Yeah.
Anybody who went to the early Beatles gigs?
Oh, yeah, and
Okay,
Cavern as well, and the Iron Door and things like that.
Okay. www.fantasyprojects.usa. If you think you can help John and Terry in this, what they hope will be the ultimate Liverpool documentary movie, www.fantasyprojects.usa. And Fantasy Project, is it project or projects?
Projects.
Fantasy Projects.
We have others planned, sir.
www.fantasyprojects.usa. Get onto that site and see if it can help. Good luck, John.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to see you
Pleasure
again,
meeting you.
Terry.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bill.
Two cab drivers getting together, eh?
Travel. BBC Radio Merseyside.
There's Marie.
Thanks, Billy. Very blustery out there, so the speeds have been reduced on the high stretches of the M6. The M6 northbound at Orrell, at junction 26, from the M58 up towards Standish 27. Reports of slow traffic. There is a fuel spillage. They've reopened Islington now. They've made the building a lot safer, taken that unsafe window out, so open in both directions. And a replacement bus service on Arriva Trains Wales from Bidston to Wrexham Central because of an accident, a road vehicle hitting a bridge in Wales near to Wrexham. Do keep in touch. It's 01517940953. Marie Megan, BBC Radio Merseyside Travel.
Thanks, Marie.
Thanks, Billy.
Paul Salt sitting in for Sean Stiles weekday mornings from 9:30. When you think about doing a paper round, what do you think the average age is? It's probably something like 13 or 14. It's probably not 90, like Leslie Potts, who's been delivering the Wirral Globe for the last 18 years.
To me, it was a bit of a lifeline. I wanted to get out and about, and this was a good excuse. Come hail, rain, snow, sleet or fog, I had to deliver the papers. And so, really, that was it. I got out on Wednesday morning, delivering the papers.
Paul Salt on BBC Radio Merseyside.
Mrs. Butler's eldest.
Billy Butler, BBC Radio Merseyside.
And my guest from New York City, John Brennan, said he'll be in serious trouble if he doesn't mention his lad and one of his achievements.
Well, first of all, my son Dan is my right-hand man. I want to say hello to him. And my talented son John, who's on another project that we're sponsoring. It's more in the horror genre. And he has his own budget, and he's going to run with that. He has very big connections in the industry. But John is very talented in every area, and he's a very talented songwriter. And he was a runner-up. Well, actually, he was a finalist in the John Lennon Songwriting Contest, Mr. Benjamin's Car. We're going to put that on the website, and hopefully you enjoy it.
Brilliant. Thanks again, John. Take care.